The Britannica, Merriam-Webster versus Perplexity copyright fight. Did an answer engine copy, misattribute, and siphon traffic? Let's unpack the legal stakes, business fallout, and what founders should do now. So I guess we should really talk about the basis of this, in that dictionaries copyright their definitions.
Yeah.
And I don't think general public understands that. If you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and see that definition, that is theirs. They have copyrighted it.
I did not know that.
If you go to someone else's, it'll have changed words slightly because that's what happened. So that's kind of probably the basis for most of this. So let's get into what's going on here, John.
Yeah. So I didn't know that the definitions were copyrighted. I did not know that. I thought, yeah, that was interesting to learn.
And just so you know, this is why they are so quick to coin and define new words. You know, we're like, why is that a word? Because if they define it, they copyright it. And that's why they're so quick to do that at a dictionary level. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes total sense now. So Perplexity's legal troubles, they're stemming from its use of RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation technology. And it differs significantly from traditional AI training approaches. So while companies like OpenAI train models on historical data sets, RAG systems actively search the web in real time to retrieve current information for each user query, which is what Perplexity does, which is why it's great for current research. So the U.S. Copyright Office, a May 2025 report specifically noted that RAG requires separate consideration from standard AI training because it retrieves targeted words for the purpose of enhancing the prompt output. So unlike pre-training with diverse data sets, RAG is less likely to be transformative, where the purpose is to generate outputs that summarize or abridge copyrighted works. So this technical distinction makes Perplexity's defense more challenging because as courts may view real-time content extraction differently from training data usage under the fair use doctrine. So just to make what the bottom line in this. So the case represents a new front in AI copyright battles, where the issue isn't just training data, but it's also real-time content scraping that directly competes with original publishers' data models. Essentially what they're doing is they're pulling away traffic from Merriam-Webster and Britannica's websites, which is in turn affecting their ad revenue, right? So crazy stuff going on. I didn't realize a lot of realizations reading this article. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, and again, I've known that copyright thing for a while, and people don't understand, that. It's just fine. As long as you know that, a lot of other pieces fall into place, why they're doing certain things and why dictionaries are still relevant and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they've scraped all this information, and this goes back to the Google AI summary case. It's very similar, where it's scraping the data from sources and then surfacing it to you when you ask a question, even though so many times it's wrong. And we really need to seriously take a look at that more than anything else. It's a massive problem. The website traffic has dropped to the end sites completely across the board, and it's no different for Britannica sites. Merriam-Webster, they estimate that Perplexity's practices have diverted over 200 million monthly user sessions away from their official platforms. So that's a massive traffic diversion. It represents significant loss of revenue for the 256-year-old publisher, which relies on the website visit, subscriptions, and advertising revenue. So, I mean, in our previous article, we were talking about AI and job losses. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming here. We're all going to have our own AIs that have all these definitions or have whatever inside them at some point, even if they're our own interpretation, our own what have you, so we don't break copyright. That means we're not going to be going to sites like this and other ones in the future. So business models have to change, the way we circulate information. It's going to be less free and more guarded in the future because of what's happening here. So it'll be interesting where this goes. So the complaint argues that when user receives Britannica content through Perplexity's answer engine, they no longer need to visit the original Britannica site. So again, if you do research, if you do this through any of these agents and they search 30 sources and they give you the thing and then produce a report, should they have to pay someone for that? Should we have to pay someone for that?
Well, that's the thing is they like all of these companies have been using data and information pretty much for free, right? They've been scraping and using all this. So if it's copyrighted data, yeah, I think you should have to pay for it. People, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
People have spent money, they spent time, they've spent energy and effort putting together the information. Now, this is based on the current landscape. And I don't know how copyright is going to come into play going forward, but as of right now, based on current market, I would say yes, you should have to pay for that.
Yeah, and so, the world's going to have to change. I don't know what the future of economics around this is going to look like. So where we're going to have to really look at it and say, okay, Perplexity is going to have to pay them every time they surface an answer. But if they search 10 things, is it different? Do I have to pay them, 10 cents versus 1 cent if I only search one thing?
Yeah.
And if I'm paying them, then does that mean more money for our end users? So every time we make a Google search, do we have to pay more? Or not Google search, but a Perplexity search, what have you. So the economics of all this is going to change because the more we have to pay, the more we're going to go back to old ways, or the more we're going to find our own ways. The more they lock information behind so we can't get it at it. And they try to do the laws of pulling it out of LLMs and whatnot because it looks like that's going to kind of trend. Okay, this is copyright information. You can't have this in your database anymore. We'll have to see, right?
Yeah. So at the same time, like, how much would that cost? You have, let's say, 50 million users paying $20 a month. You increase that by $1. There's 50 million extra dollars that you have.
Absolutely. But my point being is we don't know the usage pattern.
Yeah.
So is the average user doing 100 searches, 1,000, 10,000? Like, what's the distribution? Are we going to go to a Spotify market where we're saying, okay, we're just going to share our revenue and a certain percentage of our revenue now goes to these companies based on, usage? I actually see more of that likely because it is easier to manage.
Yeah.
It may not be more accurate. It may not be the best model, but I could definitely see and say, all right, you're going to have to pay money to some organization that then doles out money to news sources or sources of information and figures all that out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
At least that's a thought. This case won't just shape what Merriam-Webster or Perplexity does. It could set up the playbook for AI licensing, attribution, and revenue sharing across the web. So stay smart, cite sources, and be respectful when you use this stuff. Let us know what you think. Is this going to change? What do you think the future is around AI hallucinations and feeding this AI information where you're doing AI summaries and not getting to the final pages? What do you got going on, John?
Just working away, helping companies secure government funding. I'm maybe heading to a couple events. I'm not sure what's coming up. So this will probably come out after Elevate.
Yeah.
So Elevate probably would have been a great time. But yeah, how about you, Craig? What do you have?
So assuming this is November, we got a Flowgrammer event and a Toronto Startup Investor Drinks. If you're in the GTA area and want to learn or be part of a Flowgrammer, N8N, or Vibe Coding meetup group, join us. Go to flowgrammer.ca and check out the upcoming events and join us. If you want to find out more about how to take your startup to the next level, head over to torontostartups.com. Our events there, Startup Investor Drinks. So we do monthly. It's open bar, open pitch. It's an intimate event, and the conversations are next level. So check all that out there, and we'll see you in the future. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
So thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. We really appreciate it. Have a great one.